Hey everyone, Daniela here from Addo Aesthetics, and thank you for joining us for your weekly dose of inspiration, education, and encouragement. I am so excited to have the lovely Kirsten Foss here joining us to talk all about client retention, something that is so important to all of us that are in the spa industry. So, Kirsten, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for inviting me.
Of course. So you have quite the impressive resume, my dear. 23 years as an esthetician, 20 years as a spa owner, and now I know that you spend the majority of your time working as a business consultant for spa industry professionals. So, in your opinion, how much importance do you put on client retention in a business?
Well, I would put it as number one, actually.
Wow.
I think as businesses, spa businesses, we tend to think firstly when we're struggling with how much bookings we have and what our revenues look like, we tend to want to focus on marketing, which is client attraction.
Very
But
much, yes.
unfortunately, really where the nuggets are for our business is in our existing clientele. So client retention is basically the reason why it's number one is because it is the litmus test for your client satisfaction.
Mhm.
So if your client retention numbers are low, that means that the majority of the people are not coming back for whatever reason. And if they're not coming back, that's really important information. We need to start, putting our detective hats on and figuring out what's going wrong in our business, at what point, because there's so many points in our business from the moment a client arrives to the moment they leave that it can go a little bit awry.
Yeah, the
And
entire experience.
yeah, and
Mhm.
so if we're not paying attention to our client retention numbers, which most of our industry is not, then we just don't know that people aren't coming back. Like we have an idea, but we don't realize the impact that actually has in our business. It's so much more expensive
Exactly.
to
Yeah.
market and in client attraction to try to attract new business. It is way less expensive to focus on our existing clientele, make sure that our systems and processes are seamless, making sure that we have a team that's trained well, and making sure we're checking in with our guests in our follow-ups to make sure that the experience for them all along the way is what we promised. And stuff happens, and we're human, and we screw up, and but the thing is if we're not watching our client retention and not paying attention to following up, then we could be really missing the ball on a lot of business. We could be leaving a lot of business on the table.
I think
So for me, client
also,
retention is like the number one.
and you said something that just made a lot of sense. It's like we are human and we do mess up, we are going to make mistakes. But if you have that relationship with your client, they're going to be much more forgiving than if it's someone who comes in on the first try. If you have someone that's consistently had a positive experience with you in your spa and you have one little mess up, it's not going to have the same negative impact as it would
Well,
for
even
someone that's
even if
brand new.
even if they were brand new and say they left a poor review on a review site, you still have the capability, you still have the leadership capability to go back, make sure you're checking your reviews, and to fix it.
Hmm.
So, sometimes there are those situations where people are just being unreasonable, but for the most part, if we can address what went on, even after the first visit, and do our best to make it right, we could keep, those could be guests for a very, very long time because we went above and beyond to try to make the situation right.
That's right. So I noticed in the Estheticians Connect Facebook group and also when I'm out traveling and training, like you said, there's a lot of estheticians and spa owners that really focus on marketing and getting new clients in the door, but they're not spending as much time on that client retention, that piece that is number one in your book. What do you think, in your experience, is the right split? How much time should, because I don't want to discount gaining new clients. I think that is an important aspect of the
Absolutely.
business. But how do you manage the time? How much time should one spend on, marketing to gain new clients versus retention of existing clients?
I think it may not be a matter of splitting up time, but it's a matter of setting up some systems and processes so that when you're working in your business day to day, that those client retention systems are in place to catch those clients, making sure they're coming back, or to catch any problems that have come along. So, for example, if you have a system set up where you are making sure that on a regular basis, at least once a week, that you're checking your review sites, it doesn't take that long. It just takes a couple of minutes to flip through your Facebook reviews. I'm sure you've already had a notification if something comes up, or to go onto Yelp, or to check your Google reviews. It doesn't take very long, and it takes just a minute or two to reply. So the other part that really, it takes a little bit of time to get set up, but should be a system that doesn't take very much effort to keep going, is putting together a client referral system. So, there's lots of different little systems out there to retain your guests, whether it's just, I prefer to keep it simple. Don't make these really complicated client referral systems, because the more complicated you make it, then it's easier for them not to pay. Well, they tend to, like, if you make it too difficult for them to refer people, then they typically just don't do it. You need to make it easy for them. Mm-hmm. But once you have your client referral system set up, it's really a matter of just, letting your clients know on their first visit that this is what your system is. It just takes like seconds to remind existing clients of your referral system. This is what I actually notice is when I'm working with my private clients, when I'm first meeting them and getting to know their business, is that they often have a client referral system, but it's literally collecting dust on a shelf. They haven't been using it. They have it set up, but they haven't taken the time in a treatment, which is like less than a minute, to just remind somebody of, oh yeah, I remember our client referral system, and I know you have a friend that came in. Did you get credit for that? Blah blah blah. So it doesn't, as far as timing and how much time should one take to nurture client retention, it takes a little bit of time to set up your system at first, but then it's just reminders to your guests about what it is.
One thing when you're talking about systems, I think that a lot of people immediately think of systems and they think of a big spa. If they're a solo SD, they're not necessarily, that's not the first place that they go in their mind is, this is my system. But I think that that's something that's very important, even as a solo esthetician, to have very clear, structured systems in place that you're following yourself, and really treating it like a business, because that's how you're really going to succeed. Making sure. Yeah. Because we do forget things, and there's a lot that goes on when you're running your business, but you're also working, in your business.
Well, and I think even for solos, it might be, it's definitely an important system to have. But especially for solos, it's a little harder for us to stay accountable because it's just us.
Right.
So that's usually where the rub comes in. But as a solo, you need your systems, because hopefully you're going to be busy enough that you don't have time to keep, coming up with things from scratch. You just don't have the time. So the more systems you have, the easier it will be for you to work.
Now, on your website, you do a lot of videos, which are great resources for estheticians. And you recently had a video about attention as an important aspect of client retention. Can you elaborate on that a little bit more and share kind of what you shared in the video? Because I thought that was really powerful. Well,
that's just really attention. The topic of attention when it comes to client retention is just one aspect. This is where what I was meaning, that there's multiple points along the guest experience that it could fall apart, and attention is one of them. So, for example, one aspect of attention is just, if there's been drama going on in the spa with other team members, or maybe you're the owner, maybe they have some stuff going on at home where they're just kind of mentally not there. Mm-hmm. And if a guest is, if your promise is that you are paying full attention to them in the treatment room, which we should be, and you are mentally checked out, guests know that. They pick up on
feel it, yeah.
And they kind of think, this really isn't the treatment that I've had before in the past. Maybe it's one-off, but if it continues, it could pose as a possible issue with your client retention. The other part of attention is attention to detail. It's a little bit easier for a bigger spa that has a spa director, people overseeing what people are doing as far as attention to detail in the treatment. But again, as a solo, it's a little harder to stay accountable, and maybe there's some attention to detail in treatments that's not being kept up to par. And so people will, if they notice, if clients are coming in and they're noticing that their pedicures aren't quite as precise as they used to be, they're going to find somewhere else to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really important. I love that, and I'll definitely share a link for all of you guys that are interested in seeing some of Kirsten's videos. I'll include a link below this video so you can check those out because she's got some great information. So I so much appreciate you taking the time. I know you're a very busy woman, and I know that my community is going to just love this information. So if you guys want to stay connected with Kirsten, go ahead and click the link below the video. Check out her videos. She's also in the Estheticians Connect Facebook group, so you can stay connected with her there. And until next time, keep making the world a more beautiful place inside and out.